So you do a follow-up?
I very quickly, Mr. Chairman, and it's a follow-up to a comment that Mr. Godfrey just made about awareness and teaching children or young people about what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. A little bit of controversy right now in the state over legislation that is being considered. I know the governor is very supportive of this Aaron's Law. How important do you think legislation like that effectively puts in place sexual assault prevention education so that we do have this awareness?
I think that's extremely valuable. I lived in Bethel as a child. I went to school in Bethel. I spent a number of years there. My father was a state trooper assigned to that post. And I remember not learning about that good touch, bad touch stuff in elementary school there when I reflect back. But I do remember when I moved to the urban area, Anchorage area, that, they did have that as part of their curriculum, a short thing, it wasn't in depth. But I do recall at a very young age, friends of mine in 3rd and 4th grade making comments that just shocked me because I was kind of naive. Well, I was a kid. I was innocent. And I asked a friend, why is your sister, because she'd been held back from 6th grade, so she's in 5th grade, and I said, why is your sister so nice sometimes? It was a recess. And then sometimes she just gets crazy and for no reason. And he told me, oh, and I never forgot it because it was an eye-opener for me in that age. He goes, oh, she is that way. Her counselor said she's always going to be that way because a cousin and an uncle raped her, and then so we just learned to put up with it. And he was just cavalier about it. And I'm like, whoa, I've never known anyone who knew anyone that was raped before. I'm in 4th grade, and I'm just like, that wasn't as uncommon from that point forward in my life living in Bethel. But going to school and moving to the Anchorage area, I didn't have classmates talk like that. I didn't have classmates bragging about things they said they were doing that 3rd graders you wouldn't do. Maybe you're going to say that when you're in high school. And then I moved to the urban area, and my buddies were talking age appropriate. It's really strange. I do know we didn't have that type of education in Bethel and that type of good touch, bad touch, or whatever you want to call the curriculum. But if someone doesn't illuminate for young children, this is right, this is not right, don't allow this to happen to you, someone shouldn't treat you this way, and they spend most of their time in their household, and the message is, this is happening to me, must be what happens, and they don't talk about it. And by the way, Alaska Natives are culturally reserved people when it comes to communicating. So it's not like they're going to be predisposed to wanting to talk about it anyways. But if there's a culture of silence and keeping that behind closed doors, that's literally what they do. They leave the house and it's never talked about. And when they're back home, that uncle, that brother, that grandfather, that father does it. There's numerous victims that I've come across that have been victimized by 3 or 4 different men in the community that she was related to. And those men typically were abused at some point when they were younger as well. The only thing I see that would combat that, short of having a police living in the household, which is ridiculous, is you educate these kids and counter-message the message that's happening in the household. The message through actions. Obviously, the father's not saying, this is what I'm going to do to you. He does it. And counter that in the educational environment where the state has access and where the tribes may have access to those children to create some sort of tension between the action taking place behind the household, behind closed doors, and what society should find acceptable.